everyone, I'm Julia Wiegand, and welcome to today's episode of Wellness Through Physical Therapy. Tingo is about to be front and center to go over the ins and outs, what to expect, and treatment for arthritis. Now today we will be focusing more on the shoulders and the knees, so don't go anywhere, all that and more on Wellness Through Physical Therapy. And welcome back to Wellness Through Physical Therapy. I'm Julia Wiegand, and today's topic is arthritis. And Tingo is front and center, and we'll be focusing on the knees and the shoulders. So, Ting, what is one of the situations where someone will come across and say, look, I may have arthritis, I may need to see somebody?
Yeah, so arthritis, basically, if you understand what it is, it's basically wear and tear, and as we start to get older, we suffer wear and tear in our joints. So arthritis, people with arthritis will typically feel like a stiffness, like a swelling in their joint, and also difficulty with like moving the full mobility of your joint, especially with the shoulder. If you're having some arthritic changes in your shoulder, typically you're going to have a hard time reaching up into the air. You may have some difficulties reaching across your body and also behind your back. That's classical arthritis. And you may get some pain when you try and lift or sleep on the shoulder. When it comes to the knee, arthritis, you'll see your knee sometimes get a little swollen. You'll have difficulties getting up from a seated position. You may have trouble squatting down fully. And just generally walking, especially when you put weight on your leg and going up and down stairs. Some forms of arthritis will give you some pains when you sit for a long time with your knees bent as well. So classically with arthritis, if you start to see your joints start to swell, you feel it's getting stiff, especially overnight, and you wake up and your knee and shoulder is really stiff, and you're starting to have some troubles moving, lacking some mobility, and also noticing some weakness, that could be early signs of some arthritis going on.
Now, I know because of myself and prior surgeries that I've had, arthritis isn't always some genetic thing that somebody just ends up with. It can also happen after, for my example, after surgeries, post. What are the different types of arthritis that people can come across?
So the most common one we come across is osteoarthritis, which is basically wear and tear. If you do a lot through life and your body's not used to it, like say for example you don't exercise but you like to go run on weekends, or if you're like a factory worker or even a housewife and someone who stays at home and does a lot of cleaning but their body isn't ready for it, they don't have the strength that they need, over time their joints are going to start to wear, and as they wear, obviously they're going to start to degenerate, causing the arthritis. So that's the most common one we come across. There are some the most common other one that people know of is rheumatoid arthritis, and that is a genetic disorder, and that typically starts to affect people in the hands and the feet. So if you're starting to notice some arthritis, especially in the joints of your hand, difficulties closing your hands, and in the feet, that's typically rheumatoid. But most cases that we come across that we see deal with osteoarthritis, which is the degeneration. Getting old. The joke is, as I'm getting older, I'm meeting my Uncle Arthur more. Osteoarthritis is the one we most commonly come across.
And it's funny because, like you just said, getting older, it doesn't even seem to have much of an age range as well. I mean, obviously, when you think of osteoarthritis, you're thinking, I'm getting old. But in some cases, it's also within my 25 years of range.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, arthritis can happen. I've seen 30-year-olds, even 20-year-olds with some arthritis, and there is a juvenile arthritis as well. But typically, it happens to people as they get older. People like me who like to be very physical, played sports all my life, do a lot of housework, tend to do things that I shouldn't, like run into trees and that type of thing. So I'm most likely going to develop some arthritis as I get older as well.
Now, how can somebody tell what is causing their pain?
So the funny thing about arthritis is they've actually found that in some cases the actual arthritis and the degeneration in the joint might not cause your pain, which is curious to some people. But for example, in the knee, they found that people with torn meniscus, which a lot of people equate to arthritis, does not necessarily create the pain in the knee. What tends to happen, though, is when you start getting some changes in a joint like the knee, some of the structures around the knee, like the soft tissue, the ligaments, the tendons, the muscles, and there's cushioning bits called bursa. They're the ones that tend to get injured. And when they get injured, that's when you start to get the pain. It's what I call collateral damage to the arthritis. So those soft tissue structures around the joint, shoulder, you talk about the rotator cuff. A lot of people have heard of tendinitis or tendinopathies. They've heard of bursitis in the shoulder, which is like a side effect of the arthritis. And with the knee, you're talking about ligament strains, you're talking about patella tendinitis, you're talking about Baker's cysts, all that type of stuff. So when you're dealing with arthritis, it's not necessarily the arthritis itself that's causing the pain. It's the structure surrounding the arthritis that gets problematic. And we also come across a lot of times where someone might have arthritis in their knees, but instead of the knees feeling the problem, a person will feel the problem in the hip. Because when you have a problem in your knee, you're going to favor that knee. It's going to put more stress on the hip, which is going to cause that hip to get sore. So in these cases, it's good to know what is causing that pain. So because what a lot of people will do is they'll go and get an x-ray and show a little bit of arthritis, but nothing else, nothing too bad. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there with pains and they've had a joint x-rayed and they've been told by their doctor, it's not that bad to cause the pain you're in. So it's good to know what structures is causing the pain. And other medical testing, like ultrasound that we do here at this facility. So what we can do is we have ultrasound imaging that we can use to look into someone's shoulder to have a look at their tendons, their bursa, their ligaments in the knee, to see if they're how they're looking, if they're starting to wear, if they're starting to tear, or if they're starting to get some tendinitis. And this way we can figure out exactly what it is that's creating someone's problem, and we can address those issues. Because in cases of arthritis, what we typically find is that if you address the issues around the joint, a lot of people tend to feel a lot better from the actual the pains that they're in.
Well, on that note, when we come back, we are going to be talking more arthritis, shoulders, knees, and what Fyzical can do for you. So don't go away. More Wellness Through Physical Therapy after the break. And welcome back to Wellness Through Physical Therapy, where we're talking arthritis, mainly focusing on the knees and the shoulders. Now, before the break, we got the ins and outs of arthritis, what to expect, how to go about looking into getting treatment, and now Ting is going to be diving into the treatment itself. Mm-hmm. So, Ting, what types of treatment for arthritis can people expect walking into the doors of Fyzical?
Mm-hmm. So for someone that has some pains, obviously most people come to us because they have pain and difficulty moving. First of all, we would do any testing that we may want to do to figure out exactly what it is that's causing the problem. So in most cases, people that come in with arthritic changes tend to have a little bit of swelling in their joint. They tend to have stiffnesses in their soft tissue and their tendons and their ligaments and also in their muscles. And they also tend to have weakness. So a lot of what we focus on is addressing the issues that a person is presenting with. So for example, if someone comes in with a pain in the shoulder, they can't move or they can't lift their arm past here. A lot of times that's because of tightness in their actual muscles itself or tightness in the joint. So our therapy session, a lot of times we'll start with some soft tissue mobilizations. You've seen us do like soft tissue trigger point releases. We do things like instrument-assisted soft tissue mobilization or scraping, as you've seen us do before. And we have a technique called medical cupping, or otherwise known as myofascial decompression, which can be great at loosening tightnesses, especially around the shoulder and the knee. So for the people that have who know who Tom Brady is, apparently he puts his longevity as one of the major factors of his longevity as being soft tissue pliability. So we believe that as well. So we believe that the more pliable or softer your tissues are, the less stress there is in your joint, and the more you're able to move your joint. Once we get the joint or the soft tissue nice and loose, we start to look at the joint itself. So if a joint is stiff, we have techniques that we can use to help loosen a joint, to actually get in there. We call it mobilize, or just help a joint glide better, help the joint fluids move around a little better. And one of the great things that we like to do is to shake a shoulder. So for the people out there who know about pendulum exercises, it kind of simulates a pendulum exercise, and it really goes a long way in helping a joint loosen up and getting the juices flowing. And once we get beyond that stage where everything is hopefully nice and pliable and loose, including the muscles and the joints, we want to try and get people to be able to develop a little bit of strength and stability around a joint, because that's what's going to take the pressure off the joint when they're doing functional activities like reaching. So the issue with people with arthritis is that they have, I shouldn't say they have, but they shouldn't do heavy weights, because that's going to just put more stress and potentially damage the joint further. So the challenging part of trying to strengthen with someone with arthritis is to be able to lift enough weights with enough intensity to be able to strengthen a joint without, strengthen the muscle, without damaging the joint. So that problem, we asked ourselves what we can do to try and overcome that problem. So we came across a technique that we utilize now called blood flow restriction training, and what it involves is putting blood pressure, not blood pressure cuffs, but special blood flow restriction cuffs that we can pump up to a certain pressure around arms and legs, trying to control the amount of blood flow that's going into your extremities. And what that does is actually makes your muscles work harder at a lower load. So we can get people to exercise at a lower load. So for me, for example, without the cuffs on, I may do a nice bicep curl at between 20 to 30 pounds and do sets of 10 to 15. But with the blood pressure cuffs on, all I have to do is set sets of between 3 to 5 pounds, and I'm going to get a workout. And those muscles will respond like I'm using 25 to 30 pounds. So that's a way we can get around people who don't think they can exercise because they don't want to damage the joint. And I totally agree with them. And so strengthening is important long-term to be able to help someone with arthritis protect the joint as they move forward. And finally, obviously, we want to be able to help people get into a functional setting, to be able to look at some of the things that they want to do in terms of lifestyle. For example, there might be people out there that want to garden. There may be people out there that want to golf, or there may be people out there like me who want to continue to cycle and run. And what we'll do is we'll figure ways to help support joints like bracing, taping, all those types of things to be able to help someone get back to their lifestyle and be able to practice those functional movements before they actually get into things that might be too rough for them and they're not prepared for. So it's kind of like a case of we look at the individual and try and get that individual from where they're at now to where they want to be safely, and hopefully keep them at that point long term so they have less risk of getting more arthritic damage to their joints. My goal is not to have a knee replacement by the time initially it was 50, but I'm turning that next year. So my goal is not to have a knee replacement now when I'm 60, because I've torn my ACL and had some knee damage previously. So hopefully with everything that I'm doing, I can prevent that from happening. So there are ways you can like prevent arthritis from getting bad and keeping yourself in good shape as you get older.
Now, along the terms of the swelling, now everyone thinks as soon as they get a bruise or whatever, something swells up, there's the whole ice for 20 minutes, heat for 20 minutes. How does that work with arthritis then?
Okay, so arthritis is a little touchy. So I could give you a great reason why you should use ice. It's actually found by research to help with people with arthritic pains. I can give you a great reason for people to use heat, and a lot of people too tend to go for heat because it tends to feel better. So there is a great reason to use both, but inherently I think a person knows what's best for their body. So if they put ice on their knee, which is arthritic, and it's like, man, that feels bad, don't do it because it's probably bad for you. And the opposite is true. If you go put heat and it swells up and is like, that's not good, don't do that either. But there's a general rule of thumb that I tend to follow, which it kind of scientifically makes sense. So typically, if you are not doing too much, just sitting around, woken up in the morning, and you're kind of stiff and achy, typically heat is good for that, because what happens is that swelling is kind of locked into that joint, and you want the blood to flow to clear the swelling so that you can move better and your muscles to be warm. But if you've done too much through the day, like you've gone out and weeded all day, gardened all day, or you've been out and like cleaned the house or played golf, at that point you've probably overdone some stuff and created some excess swelling. So at that point, typically ice is better.
Well, along those lines, when we come back from the break, we will be not only going into our final segment, but we will be diving into what you can do at home for your arthritis when it comes to your shoulders, your knees, your head, your toes. So don't go away. More to come on Wellness Through Physical Therapy. And welcome back to today's final segment of Wellness Through Physical Therapy. So far, Ting has covered the ins and outs of arthritis, from your knees to your shoulders, and now we'll be wrapping it up with what you can do at home. So, Ting, take it away. I see a bunch of products on the table.
Yeah, so I'm big into looking out for myself, because I don't like to ask people to help me out. So I use a lot of these products myself, especially recently with a shoulder injury that I've had. So like in terms of loosening up soft tissue, a lot of people can actually do that themselves these days, because there's a bunch of tools that have been out on the market and they're actually quite popular these days. So one of the best ones we come across is a percussion massager. We use the Hypervolt, and what it is basically it's there's a little piston here that has this ball like oscillate forwards and backwards. So it's a lot more, it gets in deeper than one of those round massages. So this is great to help soft tissue loosen. So with the shoulder, the key muscles that you need to work on is in through here, front of the shoulder, at the tip of the shoulder, and this major muscle right here. So with this, you can very easily get into these areas, and I'm going to sound a little weird for a while, and get into the tight spots and get into some of these muscles. And especially if you have a partner at home or a friend or some family members that can help you out, you can get into the back structures as well. These work great as a tool to help you release soft tissue. And Tom Brady is a big proponent of these things. Obviously, he has his own line, but we like the Hypervolts here. And for the people that are looking to purchase something like this, Hypervolt actually has a discount for this month and next month. It's actually $50 off, which is a great deal. To learn more about it, don't be afraid to give us a call. We have a bunch of demonstrations here. Another great device that can help is foam rollers. And for the exercises out there, they all know about foam rollers. I'm sure you know about them as well. Yes. So foam rollers are great to use. There's different ways to do it, but basically what it does is it like pulverizes or mashes muscle. So it works on the fascia. So with the shoulder, it's a little hard to show you. Typically, I'll lay on it, and then you can roll it forwards and backwards on your tissue like that. To get a additional benefit from a foam roller, they make ones that vibrate these days. Yeah. So there's actually research out that shows that vibration foam rolling when you're rolling with vibration, it can help increase the muscle length of the hamstring more than just foam rolling itself. So foam roller on its own is great, but if you want that extra little bit, vibrating foam rollers are something that can be very beneficial. Another thing that Tom Brady endorses as well. Not that I like Tom Brady because I'm an Eagles fan. So loosening soft tissue is extremely important. So I typically encourage people to spend like 5 to 10 minutes, 2 or 3 times a week to work on their soft tissue. And for the people that like heat and cold, these paraffin gloves can be very helpful for home as well, because what it does is it minimizes the need for those big tubs and the mess. So all you have to do is put these in a microwave and stick your hand in them. And what that does is it really gets your hand and wrists nice and warm. So that's great for the hand and wrists. The packs that you can get ice and hot for your shoulder and for your knee as well. So there's a bunch of stuff that people can do these days for arthritis at home, and obviously exercise is important as well.
Well, Ting, I could honestly talk about arthritis for forever, but that is all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for not only showing us the ins and outs of what to expect when you have arthritis, but also what you can do here at Fyzical and what people can also do at home.
Yep.
And thank you everybody for joining us. That's it for now. I'm Julia Wiegand, and we'll see you next time on Wellness Through Physical Therapy.